Welcome to the Trust Factor Radio, bringing you interviews and insights to unlock the power of the subconscious mind to create authority, credibility, and trust. With your host, the Authority Architect and best-selling author, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Drew Madore. He is the founder and CEO of Synergist Digital Media, and he helps businesses and organizations with driving more traffic, creating more leads, reputation management, and just making their clients become rock stars online. Well, I'm definitely excited to hear about that. Welcome to the show, Drew Madore.
Thank you, Neil. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Drew, tell us a little bit more about yourself and Synergist Digital Media.
Well, I started Synergist about 4 years ago. I jumped out on my own. I was doing work for another company, realized that I had the skills and the personality, so to speak, and the Rolodex to actually go out on my own, so I decided to do so. But I got into the digital marketing space back in the early 2000s, pretty much when it was still the Wild West, where anything goes. Google was new, and it was almost like a gold rush where people were just scrambling to see who can rank first, how much money they can make in affiliate marketing, and the such from that.
Yes, that was the way it was, but now you are more into helping clients rank on the internet. Yeah. What kind of clients is it that you help then?
So we kind of fell into the two industries, primarily automotive and restaurant. We do health and wellness as well, but primarily automotive because back in the early 2000s, I worked for a car dealership because they needed somebody to build them a website, and all that was fairly new. So I built the website, and the owner came to me one day and said, I want to rank higher in Google. I want people to see my cars and things like that. And that kind of opened the doors for me. So it was a luxury manufacturer type dealership. So being that it was a luxury manufacturer, they put in a lot of money behind it as far as research and figuring out what works, what doesn't. And I was lucky enough to actually get a hold of that information through the manufacturer to see what they were spending their money on, how everything was working. And I kind of took that information and ran with it from there.
That's interesting. I want to get a little bit deeper into that automotive industry because there's hundreds and thousands of car dealerships out there, and they're all vying for position on the internet. So it'll be interesting to, see exactly what it is that you do to really help them out. But, in that aspect of things, what kind of problems are these car dealers having?
One of the main issues that they have would be they focus primarily on one aspect of their services. So they do services and products. They service vehicles, and then they sell products. And then they sell two kinds of products, new vehicles and pre-owned vehicles. So it really breaks out into three categories. One of the main issues that they have, and especially within the past, I would say 5 to 7 years, is that it's becoming so competitive as far as price is concerned that they're not making a lot of money when they're selling their vehicles, but they're not focusing on the service aspect or even the pre-owned aspect of the vehicles that they have on the lot and that they're moving. Dealerships receive a lot of pressure from manufacturers to get those new vehicles on the road, obviously, because the manufacturers have a bottom line that they need to meet. With that pressure upon the dealerships are then competing with one another, and through the scope of the internet, people have access to more pricing options and things of that nature. So it really comes down to the pressure on the dealership to get the cars out there. What they don't realize is that they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars on the back end as far as having those customers come back for service. I mean, it is something that they are aware of, but there's not as much urgency placed behind it as they do getting the new vehicles on the road. So when we go into a dealership, we explain that to them, and we back into their numbers and say, listen, you're missing out on X amount of profits if you were doing X, Y, and Z, if we were doing a pay-per-click campaign just for your service, or maybe a social media campaign to where you're offering 10% off, or have a coffee and cars type of day, especially for high-line dealerships for Porsches and Maseratis and Lamborghinis. Owners of those vehicles like to show them off, like to talk about their cars with other car enthusiasts. So things like that is what we try to get them to focus on, not apart from the new cars as well.
I've often wondered why a lot of dealerships aren't using things like Facebook Live and YouTube Live to, sell their cars. I know those channels get a lot of traffic just because it is live and people tune in. Have you seen anybody actually using that kind of resource?
So we've gone in there actually as a consultant for a couple dealerships. And again, we primarily handle luxury automakers, luxury manufacturers type dealerships. And we've gone in there and we've done that. What we're finding is that they are so preoccupied because, again, it's very competitive. They have a deadline. They have a number that they need to meet every month. They're finding it hard to keep on top of those things because they don't have anybody within the organization that actually champions that aspect of their business. So having somebody internally that could work with outside consultants like ourselves to help them move that along is very big. The problem is trying to convince them that the profitability factor is there for something like that. The unfortunate part is making them realize that there's a tangibility to doing like a Facebook live stream and doing the pay-per-click, offsite optimization, things like that. It really becomes a tangibility factor because the automotive industry moves so fast. They want it now. The mentality of the automotive dealership is somebody walks through the door, they don't leave without selling a car. And that's pretty much across the board. It doesn't matter if it's Highline or if it's just a regular, if it's import or if it's domestic, it's just how it goes. So there has to be a shift in mentality as far as how they perceive their advertising dollars, how they're perceiving everything that, what they're doing online. A lot of them are still tied to traditional, which they'll do TV commercials, they'll do newspaper, they'll do billboards. And 9 times out of 10, they will definitely get more bang for their buck if they were to put that advertising spend into a digital forum. Anything social, anything pay-per-click, anything other than traditional. But unfortunately, a lot of them are still stuck there.
So, obviously they do what they know how to do, but what's the problem? They just don't know how to do digital, or they just don't understand it?
Part of it is they don't want to. A lot of automotive dealerships are owned by baby boomers. They started their companies back in the 70s, 80s. They're handing them down to their children. One of the shifts that I do see happening is that their children that are taking over the dealerships are at the latter stage of the millennials and Generation X. They have more of a comprehension of what is going on and understand it more. Those Gen Xers are then hiring the millennials who are coming in, not doing management positions or anything, but the millennials are actually influencing the Gen Xers who are then hopefully influencing the baby boomers to move it along. But unfortunately, the baby boomers, they're set in their ways, they're sunsetting in their positions in their companies, and they're handing it over. So there is a paradigm shift happening. It's just not happening as fast as I think it should be.
So what is working right now as far as digital marketing in the automotive industry?
So what seems to be working right now is a healthy mix of off-site SEO, on-site optimization, and pay-per-click. One of the problems that dealerships have, they don't sell one car. They don't, if you think about it, they'll have 7 or 8 different types of cars and SUVs that they'll have on the lot from one type of manufacturer. So they have to sit down, they have to look at, which cars are the fastest moving cars, which cars are the best selling cars, how much money are we going to put in each one. They have to break it out by each model because you don't know. And there's certain times of the year through statistics that they know that SUVs will sell more in the fall because they know snow's coming, especially in the Northeast and places that get snow. But what we found is pretty much a mix of all of them. There isn't one single silver bullet that gets them, all the results that they're looking for. We're very strong in doing organic SEO, having them come up in searches for Google, especially their local SEO. We pretty much, any and all of our clients that we currently have that are automotive dealerships are dominating their markets fairly well because of our offsite SEO and content marketing efforts for them. So I would say for the quick clicks and to get them to the site, pay-per-click will always have its place. But if they're patient enough and they give it 12 to 24 months, the organic SEO will definitely come through amazingly for them, especially when people are looking for cars, dealerships near me, certain keyword terms like that, long tail keyword terms. All of those are definitely heavy as far as driving their traffic. In fact, the organic SEO drives about 70% of the traffic to the sites of the clients that we currently have.
That's interesting. Tell me, do you know how these people are searching for cars online? Like, what exactly are they typing in, and what are you trying to create content for so that you can rank for those terms?
So generally what we like to do, obviously we go into Google historical data, we look and see what people are searching per month and looking at the keyword planner, but we're trying to focus more on voice search and geolocation search. So if somebody is more times than not in the Philadelphia metro area and they type in Mercedes-Benz dealership near me or Jaguar dealership near me, we want our clients to be the ones to come up first, even if it's conquest. If we have a Mercedes-Benz client and Acura or Lexus is also in their area of interest, we want to also have them come up as well as a conquest. So people who are looking for Lexus may consider a Mercedes-Benz. So the local SEO has become really important. The national SEO is something we've kind of gotten away from. We did have one dealership that was ranking for a manufacturer brand name on the first page of Google. It got an incredible amount of traffic, but the conversions to leads and form submissions was negligible. It wasn't even worth the time doing it. When we brought it back in and we focused our efforts to local SEO, let's say if it's a Mercedes-Benz dealership in the Philadelphia area, Mercedes-Benz dealership in Philadelphia, C-Class for sale in Philadelphia, things like that, or by zip code. We've been finding, because of the Google algorithm and using local SEO and mobile device use, we're getting more traffic that way than people actually sitting at a computer.
So are you really creating hundreds of different pages for the 100 different, models and styles of cars?
No. So essentially what we're doing, part of our strategy, not to give too much away, if you go to any type of dealership website within the United States, you will see that pretty much their entire inventory will be listed on the website. Some dealerships will have 10 cars. Some dealerships will have 150, 200 cars, and even beyond that. They will have every single car listed on their page. One of the things that we try to do is interlink all those pages together, obviously to pass the link juice and relevancy to all the different pages as Google crawls it. But what we also look to do is keep the content slightly different on every page, so Google doesn't, and it's more of a Panda thing. When the Panda algorithm came through, I believe it was a while back, 2011, 2012, something like that. We noticed a lot of the model pages were dropping out of the search, because the model pages you could have, and again, using Mercedes-Benz as an example, you can have a C-Class car, you can have a C250 or a C300, and they could have 10 of those cars on their website. Now, even though the VIN number is different for every car, primarily most of the information about the car is the same. The engine is the same, the wheels are going to be the same, the interior will be the same. So Google and the Panda algorithm was actually picking and choosing what it was throwing to the front page. So we kind of had to take a step back, reevaluate, and say, okay, obviously it's thinking duplicate content. We need to, and it wasn't so much being penalized. It's just that Google was putting more weight on what it thought was the page for the C-Class or the page for the E-Class or the page for the GLE or whatever it was. So we had to kind of figure out a way to interlink them all, but kind of stay under that Panda radar, so Google picks them up and actually filters them through to the search engine.
So what kind of things are you doing so that your Mercedes dealership shows up all over the city if people are searching from anywhere in Philadelphia?
Essentially what we do, it's a lot of the vanilla local SEO practices. And then we have what I guess I would say is our magic bullet. And again, without getting into too much detail, because I probably will have competitors listening to this wanting to know how we do it. But we do the vanilla type thing, the on-site. But then on the off-site, we've figured out over the years how to leverage traffic from other relevant websites like autotrader.com, cars.com, They're third-party websites that will advertise inventory, but the domain authority and the trust factor of those sites are huge. So knowing that, we went in there and we figured out and finagled ways to actually pass that authority over to those websites and juice them up so they come up higher in the search engines.
Excellent. That's certainly a good way to do it. What are some of the misconceptions about SEO that you find when you're talking to clients?
It's the constant, if you build it, they will come. That was a line out of the movie Field of Dreams. I use it all the time when I speak to clients. They think if they hire us, because we do web development as well, and we generally try to do web development. If we're building a website or migrating a website for them or whatever it is, we try to also incorporate digital marketing services as well. A popular misconception that's out there is, oh, if I build a website, we're going to come right up. We just had a client. We built the website for her. We explained the digital marketing. We went through the paces with them. We went live with the website, and not 24 hours after we went live with the website, I received an email saying, why can't I see us in Google? And I had to, again, go through the whole thing. There's the controversial sandbox. It was a brand new domain. You could be in the sandbox. We don't know. It could be a specter. It could be Google just going out there trying to put fear into the digital marketers. But it's been less than 24 hours. We just submitted your sitemap.
Right.
Unfortunately, people think it's like, all right, we're out there and people are just going to magically come to us. I mean, if I have a hot dog stand and I'm standing in the middle of the desert, it's great. I have a hot dog stand, but I don't have people knowing I'm there, and I'm not even in the right spot to get the foot traffic. So that's something we have to constantly educate our clients on. And once they get it and once it clicks, they're very easy to work with. And then once they see the reporting and they see things starting to happen, then they become very happy with the services that we offer.
So what is expected from an SEO campaign as far as seeing results coming through? You mentioned 12 to 24 months for the automotive industry. Is that really what it is across the board, or anything less than that?
Okay, so it really depends on how aggressive we want to be. If we want to get aggressive, and it also becomes a money factor. I mean, let's face it, if you're going to say, I only have $1,000 a month to spend, and you're a luxury brand dealership in the New York metro area, I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't even want to bother working with you, because it's not going to be worth my time, because you're not going to see any results from it. So it really becomes a factor of how much manpower we need, how much work we have to do, the keyword research. The foundation of all of our campaigns is keyword research. We're constantly looking for those gems that are floating out there, be it long tail, whatever it is, but it's always the low competition, highly searched for, things that we may not even thought of, but would also be considered low funnel. And what I mean by low funnel would be people who are in the market to buy, or from at least 30 to 90 days out, possibly even as far as 6 months. So looking for those buy keywords is something that we do. Once we start doing the optimization, we've been finding that in the automotive vertical, it's been taking about 3 to 4 months for us to start seeing the results pop up in the search index. Before, it would happen faster, and then when Penguin, or I guess when RankBrain went with the live updates and everything was going faster, we thought it would be faster, but I think the algorithm throttles what it's pushing out there, I guess, to dissuade black hat marketers and spammers to not do what they do. But the fact of the matter is, black hat still works, gray hat still works. But we're seeing on average, if we're using a combination of some gray hat and white hat techniques through content marketing, 3 to 4 months is when you're going to start to see some ranking changes for your site, depending on what you're looking to do. If you want to sell more pre-owned, or if you're looking to do more service, or if you're looking to get your new inventory out there, whatever the agenda is, that's generally what we're seeing.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but what fears hold people back from taking action to implement a digital marketing strategy in their business, specifically in the automotive, since we've been talking about that?
So there's 2 things that I found. One is tangibility. There's always a tangibility factor. And the second thing is they've dealt with other less than reputable, either freelancers, internal, or agencies in the past. They spent a lot of money, they saw no results, and now they're gun shy. They don't want to pull that trigger again, because they feel like, again, when they see their this goes to the tangibility. When they see their ad on TV, there's a tangibility there. I paid for that spot. People are watching their TV right now, and my commercial is playing on their TV.
Mm-hmm.
They like that. They can drive by a billboard. They can see the buses on the road with their logo on it. There's a tangibility factor that the traditional way of advertising has that a lot of traditional older generations like to see, especially that's what they're used to. So we have to clear that hurdle before we can do anything. And then the other thing is it's really cost. It comes down to cost and what they're looking to do. I had somebody come to us and they wanted to do a $500 a month pay-per-click campaign. And I had to explain to them that $500 a month is really not going to do anything for you, especially with the competition, what the bids per click were and things of that extent. We put it together an entire audit and proposal and showed them, like, this is for you to see results. You're going to have to spend at least 3 times that amount to start garnering results. But again, because of past experiences, they're kind of weary about putting money out there again that they don't think they're going to get a return on as far as ROI. And that's why we keep case studies for our clients so we can show them, pound for pound, here's another automotive dealership that is doing a luxury brand. It's not the same as yours, but it's still within the same scope. This is what we did for them in 12 months worth of time with pay-per-click, with organic, and these are the results that they're seeing. And 9 times out of 10, we generally like to get them a return on their investment, obviously, as any digital marketer wants to do, and then a 20 to 30% return on the investment. So that would be 20 to 30% on profit. And then we usually encourage them to take 10% of that and reinvest it back into the digital marketing.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of difference does it make for, a company that is really bought into the digital marketing and have invested well in it? What difference does it make to their business compared to other ones that are doing the traditional marketing?
So I used to work again, when I first started, I worked for a Highline dealership in the South Jersey area. And I was asked by the owner and this was, again, back in the Wild West days, back in the early 2000s, he's like, I don't care, just figure it out. I want to know how I can get, if somebody looks for this term, I want to come up kind of thing. So, and that really, that really sent me down that rabbit hole. I liked the challenge. It was a new experience. It was something brand new. It was almost like a game. And I had them ranking so well that I received a phone call, I would say 3 or 4 years later, from another dealership, which was a competitor. And I went in to go talk to them to see what they had to say. And they had many more brands that they carried other than just the one brand that I was working for. And the owner's daughter, one of the first words out of her mouth were, so you're the guy, you're the reason why I see, the dealership that I was working for at the time in Google and not mine. And I looked and I said, yeah, because I was told specifically by the owner of the dealership I was at currently to completely, I just want to shut out everybody who's in my area. I don't want anybody to be able to, rank. So that's what, and then I got hired at this other dealership. I left the old one, went to the new one. And then that's where I started getting into a lot of the manufacturer resources and things like that. Because at that point in time, manufacturers were dumping millions of dollars into market research, seeing what was working, what wasn't working, how social media would be incorporated into the whole thing. So I was kind of brought in on that fold and learned a lot from what a lot of the market research that they were doing. So then I started applying that to my overall strategy, which made it even stronger.
Excellent. That's great info to get hold of so you can really analyze that data and see exactly what you need to do. Drew, tell us, give us that case study. Is there anybody that really sticks out in your mind that you've worked with that, had a problem when they came to you? What did you do for them? And, what was the outcome for them?
So I had a Highline dealership come to me. They wanted to rank. They were probably pulling in 2,000-3,000 unique visitors per month when I looked at the analytics at the time. They were generating maybe 10 to 20 leads a month, which is nothing special at all. It's actually quite dire. It was early enough in the digital marketing ecosystem and the automotive ecosystem where mobile devices and the use of those was just starting to come to fruition. And, nowadays, I believe it's more than 50-60% of people who go online nowadays are using some type of mobile device, be it a phone, a tablet, or whatever. So, but it was back when PCs were still being used. So I went in there, did a complete audit, figured it out. They hired me, and I started doing my work. And it took a while to pull them out of it, but I would say within 3 years, we had them 3 times higher than the national average of any other dealership of the same manufacturer in the entire United States. We had their lead conversions 3 times higher, and their bounce rate was 3 times lower than any other dealership in the United States. These numbers came from a company called Shift Digital, which is a third-party company that works on behalf of manufacturers to make sure that dealerships are staying within compliance, are using all the best practices, and they're kind of there to help them or move them along and make sure that their digital marketing initiative doesn't go stale. So I work with this company, Shift Digital, and they sent those out there, and they said, literally this one particular dealership is blowing away, is in the top 5% in the entire country in one of the most saturated, hardest markets in the United States, which would be the Northeast, the Philadelphia, New York metro area.
Wow, congratulations.
So those are the types of results we get.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's some great result right there. That completely changes a business, just being able to implement that kind of strategy.
Well, now, before all their showroom, the statistic now is that an average person shopping for a car will look at 1.5 to 2.5 websites. When shopping for a car, they will ask for a price quote, and then they will walk in the doors, whichever one is the lower price quote. That's a blanket statement, but that's the general average in the industry nowadays. Their total sales that they have accounts for 48%. This one particular dealership that we have, 48% of all their sales every month now come through on their website. They do anywhere from 250 to 350 leads per month through the website, and 48% of those are being sold. So it's a huge difference from where they were years ago when they were struggling. They probably wouldn't even be open right now, or they would have taken a very, very big loan from somewhere, or the manufacturer would have taken over the dealership. But had that change not happened, when it did, there could have been a more dire circumstance for them than where they're at right now.
Well, you've got to put your trust in digital marketing. It certainly works if you know what you're doing. And obviously, Drew, you know what you're doing in order to be able to get those kind of results. Now, if anybody's listening to this and they're in the automotive business, I know we've talked solely automotive today, but you do also business in the restaurant industry and health and wellness as well. If anybody just wants your expertise, how do they reach out to you?
You can go to synergistdigitalmedia.com, and that would have all the information, plus our toll-free number, 888-796-7478. You can contact us that way. And again, we do a lot of different verticals, but we've been finding that we're primarily falling into the automotive, health and wellness, and restaurant. We do have a few high-end restaurants. For instance, we have Delmonico's Kitchen Group. Delmonico's was the first restaurant ever in the United States. We have them as a client, and they're up in New York City and Lower Manhattan. And we also have their sister sites, Arno Ristorante and Delmonico's Kitchen. We have a great working relationship with them, and we've really started to bring them around as well with a new website, a new marketing campaign, a pay-per-click campaign. So they're really starting to dominate their market up in the New York area. Excellent.
Well, you've certainly made a difference to many businesses and many people's lives by just getting them seen and being able to, help them help other people and solve their solutions. But you got to get found first, and that's exactly why SEO is extremely important. Well, Drew, it has been a pleasure talking with you today. We've got Drew Madore from Synergist Digital Media. Please reach out to him if you need help, especially in the automotive industry. Drew, thanks very much for being my guest on the Trust Factor Radio today.
Thank you, Neil. I hope to be back on soon.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to the Trust Factor Radio with Neil Howe. To learn about the resources mentioned in the show and to listen to past episodes, go to thetrustfactorradio.com. To get a copy of the book, The Trust Factor, go to thetrustfactorbook.com. If you are ready to act now and build your authority, credibility, and trust, schedule a consultation with Neil at theauthorityarchitect.com.